Witajcie na Brodach z Kosmosu. Mamy dzisiaj dla Was świetny wywiad z gwiazdą świata komiksu tak naprawdę, Davidem Lloydem, który odpowiedzialny jest, nie muszę mówić zresztą, ale m.in. Hellblazer, m.in. V for Vendetta oczywiście i teraz obecnie zarządza Aces Weekly, o którym też porozmawiamy. So, welcome David, welcome to Beards from Outer Space. This is our YouTube channel, so we're...
Oh,
yeah.
What's it again?
Beards from Outer Space.
Beards from Outer Space.
Yeah,
right,
so
okay.
very normal name.
Very fashionable now.
Oh yeah,
everybody's wearing one.
We were the first ones, so and we're from outer space, so you can't get much more fashionable than that.
That's true.
Okay, so as you probably heard, you cannot start an interview with you without talking about V for Vendetta, and I have a few questions because this is such a huge thing for all the fans all around the world, right? Because it was published everywhere, basically. But the first thing is, in some interviews, there's a dispute who was actually who was behind the idea for V for Vendetta. So I already know because I heard your other interviews, but I want to ask again. So who was behind and how it all came together to start between you and Alanem Moorem?
Well, it's a long story. When you say who came up with the idea of V for Vendetta, I mean, if you mean the Guy Fawkes concept.
No, that would be my second question.
Okay. Well, because I came up with the Guy Fawkes concept,
yeah.
But the V for Vendetta itself. Well, the story behind that is this. If you want me to make it short, I will. But otherwise, I'll just ramble on if that's okay by you.
Ramble, no problem.
Okay. Well, I used to work for Marvel UK. They had
Yeah.
a Marvel division. They had a British division.
Yeah.
And I worked for an editor called Des Skin, who was responsible for Marvel doing an original British comic called Hulk Weekly. The idea that Des had with that comic was to have something that was like regular British anthology comics used to be. So you'd have a sort of a science fiction story, you'd have a sort of like a jungle adventure, a mix of things, the usual sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he managed to persuade Marvel to invest in that. And as there was, we did use the Hulk, because of course that was what we were celebrating. Yeah. And the comic itself was launched in order to capitalise on the TV series of The Incredible Hulk, which had just appeared on English television. So, one of those stories, like the Jungle Adventure science fiction stories, was a masked vigilante character called Night Raven. He was a crime fighter in Prohibition America. So that was my job. That was a strip that I did. So I did that for this comic. Now, when Des Skin, the editor, left Marvel later, after he'd done Doctor Who magazine and other things, he left. He set up his own company. He wanted to do something like Hulk Weekly, an anthology. Now, we couldn't use the characters that he'd been responsible for that because that was copyright Marvel. Okay, so he said to me, "Will you do a masked vigilante character for Warrior, which was the magazine?" And that was the remit. He said, and originally I was supposed to write and draw the whole thing.
So what brought you to Alanem Moorem? Why?
Well, I'd worked with Alan. I'd worked with Alan on the Doctor Who magazine stories. He'd done some of those. I knew he was brilliant. I thought he was great. We worked very well together. We clicked. We had the same influences basically in TV and movies and we actually worked on the same fanzine. I discovered this by accident when I was first talking to him.
Oh.
We were working, because in England there was a whole bunch of fanzines, and we ended up working on the same fanzine. Oh. So we'd kind of met before.
Yeah.
But anyone who was great. And I was smart enough to realise that even though it'd be interesting for me to write and draw this strip, I thought it would be better if I worked with Alan on it because he was so brilliant. And Alan actually was already on board Warrior with Marvel Man. He wanted to do an updated Marvel Man.
Okay.
Marvel Man is an old British character, copy of not Captain America.
Captain Britain.
No. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
We'll check it out.
It doesn't matter. But Alan was already on board, doing an update of that. It became Miracle Man eventually.
Miracle Man, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, So I asked Alan if he wanted to work on V, and
This is history.
and then that's it. And we developed it. The way we developed it, I mean, how much detail you need on this, but the one thing I didn't want to do was something that was a period piece like Night Raven, because Night Raven, set in the 20s, you had to do all that reference material, you had to draw the cars, and I didn't want to do that. So whatever we did, it had to be set in an ordinary situation. So it was easy to do something. It was like set in England, and on top of that, I don't want to go on too long, but on top of that, both Alan and myself, completely separately, before we got together on V, had ideas about a future fascist dictatorship, an urban guerrilla fighting a future fascist dictatorship in an England of the future. I'd come up with a story called Evelina Falconbridge, which I tried to sell to a French publisher who was trying to launch a magazine in England. And I did one page of that, and he didn't want it. Alan had also come up with an idea called The Doll, which was about a terrorist in white face makeup. Same situation, an urban guerrilla fighting fascists. So he'd done that story before I'd done, and he hadn't been able to sell that either. So we both had that idea, and when the opportunity came up to do this Master Vigilante, we thought, okay, let's do that. We'll make him an urban guerrilla fighting a fascist dictatorship. So the rest of it is a matter of development and one idea or another idea, and that's basically it.
So, as you both created it, so after that, when you hear the interpretation, what does it mean, etc. Two big themes you can pretty much catch up. There's like the theme of individualism, and on the other side, anarchy. You know, Alan will be more inclined to go to the anarchy side. So, did you have this problem? Because I heard you talking about that the individuality is the most important part, that we cannot lose it as a society. So did you have like I'm not going to say fights, but did you grind a little bit when it came to how should the story go? Would it be more anarchist or more just let's say freedom based, but freedom as individualism, etc. So.
No, I mean, there was never any discussion about that at all. I was very happy to let Alan, do his thing,
Okay.
And he just went off and did. Now, my own personal opinion about the most important elements of it is the individuality, because for me, I mean, first of all, the society that the one in V is based on is Germany in the 30s.
Yeah.
In Germany in the 30s, a society became corrupt out of desperation and fear. It came out of hyperinflation, massive unemployment, and it looked for a saviour.
Yeah.
And we know who they found. But basically, but the society accepted that guy, accepted what he was doing. They knew what he was doing, and they didn't object. Society became totally corrupt, and this is basically what V, the society in V was a society that became corrupt, and it becomes corrupt because the individual subsumes his conscience to the mass of society. They lose their individual sense of right and wrong.
Yeah, whatever the society does is good, and
because I'm all right. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know he's doing terrible things, but it doesn't matter because things are better. It's like that thing that you said about Mussolini, that he made the trains run on time.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Fascists always are efficient. They're always efficient. So one thing to say about fascism, it does have a kind of strength. I mean, that's the key of it.
Okay, so that is probably pretty obvious when you read V for Vendetta, but just by doing some little research, I found people reading it and as a critique of democracy. That democracy forces us, like the masses, whoever has the most votes wins. Therefore, he pushes his agenda, and V is against like this, let's say, absolute democracy. Let's say. do you find this any more, I don't know, appealing, or because those people who say this type of this version, they interpret it in that way, usually go towards, we don't need democracy, we need a strong leader. So don't you find it like a little bit ironic that people, that iconic comic that is about individualism and freedom is being interpreted just the exactly opposite way?
Well, I don't know who does interpret it in a way. Who interprets V as a Bible as
anti-democratic, because democracy because of democracy we have what we have.
The only thing I know about, I think.
I know it's hard to grip your mind around this kind of idea.
Yeah, it is very complicated. I think you can look at V in different ways.
Yeah.
You can see it as a warning against fascism.
Yeah.
And of course, in competition with fascism, democracy is a much better thing to have.
Yeah.
But of course, democracy itself has its own power structures.
Yeah.
As you just said. It's the will of the mass. The will of the mass would always push forward because that's what democracy is about. The majority wins. Anarchy doesn't have leaders, doesn't use leaders. But anarchy is a utopian concept.
Of course,
it's a utopian concept. In my view, people are sheep basically, and they need to be led. They want to be led, either through a democratic movement or fascism if they want that.
Yeah.
I don't think. Alan believed in anarchy at the time. I don't know what his beliefs are right now. Possibly he still does believe, but I never believed in anarchy. I think that people are too much like sheep. And they whatever they might want, eventually they want somebody to tell them what to do. In some way. Of course, a perfect situation, a perfect society run on anarchic lines, that would be great. And it's been tried in little pockets in various places. In Christiana was an example in Denmark. But I don't believe that it's something that you can run. You see, I think all utopian concepts, are flawed because there's no utopian human being. What you need is a utopian human being for a utopia. You can't have a utopia without a utopian human being.
If we had utopian human beings, we wouldn't need democracy, etc. Because we would just be perfect and we wouldn't need any system of government.
No, exactly. Actually, it'd be better if we were like kind of ants. So, well, what I mean is, ants are supposed to have a sort of telepathy. Common understanding between all of them. That's how they're supposed to. If you see one ant go into a kitchen, that's how all the rest of them follow because they, this is telepathy going on. If we had that would be a great society because we would all feel for each other. We would all feel for each other, and so there would hardly be any crime, hardly any misery, because we'd all be feeling exactly what the other person felt. That'd be great. But I think. I just do believe that in the current state of human beings, anarchy won't work. And that's one of the reasons why I think the most important thing is the most important thing for me in V is the theme of individuality. Because as long as you hang on to your conscience, your individual knowledge of right and wrong, that will save you from becoming corrupt. It will save you. But if you go along with it, if you're tempted to go along with anybody or the crowd, because he does it, so why can't I?
It's okay.
That's the justification. That's a justification for petty theft and all those sorts of things.
It starts from.
So, but it's it's a fascinating. It's a big topic, and that's why V is so good because you can talk about that.
That's true. Okay, so but what do you think about the movie Incarnation? Because I heard so many critiques that it's just butchered the idea, that it's just pure Hollywood, etc. So do you have like a great disdain wherever you hear the movie, or just a movie? I don't
No. I think it's a great piece of cinema, and of course it's Hollywood. It's Hollywood because it has to be Hollywood.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be made.
Yeah, well, I don't think it would have.
Yeah.
This is Joel Silver, and but I think the Wachowskis, were big fans of it from way back, and they believed in it. They believed in that core message, especially about individuality.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think I'm glad that it was in their hands, and also that they were the producers, and because they wrote a screenplay for it.
Yeah.
And then, but then just after that, they had this little movie called The Matrix. They made this little movie called The Matrix, and that took them away. But the because that was so important, was so successful for them. When they came back to V, they came back as producers as well as the writers, which gave them a lot of power, a lot of control, and I think it's a great piece of cinema. But I always describe it as another version of V.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I talk to people about it, I say, well, it's another version. And just like a lot of movies that are made of great books, they're often less than the book, but have something of the book, and that's my viewpoint of it. But I did all the press junkets for it and supported it when it came out, and I was happy to, and it did very well for the book too.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
people went to see.
It re-emerged.
People went and saw the movie, then they bought the book.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's been beneficial.
Even if the movie would have been bad, the people still would have probably, just because of the media buzz, they would just reach for the comic book just to see. Okay, so this is so bad. So what is the original? So whatever the movie would have been, still would be good for the comic book.
But then they would never know whether it was bad, because if they hadn't read the original. I mean, the thing is that I mean, it is a good movie. It's a great blockbusting movie. But I think a lot of people like that, and that's why they bought the book, because they liked it. I mean, and it's been very successful, and of course it's a cult hit now.
Yeah, it's a cult hit. And a Guy Fawkes. So we can go back to the Guy Fawkes again. The story is that it was Alanem Moorem said in one interview that it was sort of a prank, sort of a joke that you proposed, Guy Fawkes, and that's how it happened. So
it was. Well, it was. It was just a crazy idea I had one summer afternoon. Actually, summer is relevant to it, because the original plan was to use the Guy Fawkes masks that you could actually buy in the stores around about November the 5th.
Yeah.
But because it was the summertime, I couldn't get one anywhere. I contacted costumiers, everything. I couldn't get one. So that's how I made up my own, which was very simple to do. But it was a kind of crazy idea. You're right. And I just ran it past Alan, and he said, "Well, that's just great. We'll do that." And but a lot of creativity is accidental. Things just happen by accident.
That's true. Okay, so I don't want to spend the whole interview talking about Vendetta, but we could. I want to talk about the Aces Weekly, like where you're the boss right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, how different is it when you were the writer and creator, and now you're the one, you're the boss, you're bossing around, you're the one taking care of other writers. So what was the biggest change of the perspective for you, like the first change?
Well, I'm kind of hands off in the sense that Aces Weekly is an organ for people to be published in. I don't construct. Even every volume is actually accidental, really, because I get lots of submissions. I mean, now I get more submissions now. I mean, when we started, it was I asked people. I mean, in fact, when we started, I mean, that's why I started it. One of the reasons I thought I could do it was because luckily I get a lot of respect. People know me in the business, and I could ask people, say, "Hey, do you want to try this? This is the idea that we've got." I started it with a ex-Marvel editor called Bambos Georgiou. So we would, it was sort of like we founded it and worked at it. Now Bambos is now just subscriptions manager. I'm just complete captain of it now, effectively. But the idea was just to put a bunch of different stories, make an anthology of it, and see what would happen. Now I get more people submitting, but the only control I have, in a sense, is that, well, lots of people like science fiction and want to do science fiction. It's a big thing. Comic artists and writers, they just love science fiction, and generally speaking, they want to do that. So I always say, look, you know, if somebody shows me their work, I say, look, if you want to do something, we'd rather not have science fiction. So, but we have science fiction, and I just got to try and balance it so that we don't have too much in each volume. So that's the only control I really have. Other than that, you know, somebody will say, I'm going to do this sort of like a mystery story set in Victorian London, and you know, I know they're good, so I say, all right, go off and do it.
So
that's it.
If like an aspiring young creator, I don't know, from Poland or for whatever, wanna send you, so how could he or she contact you? What, through their webpage or?
No, well, you can, because if you go to the webpage, if you go to the web, it has contact details, and the contact is info@acesweekly.co.uk. info@acesweekly.co.uk, and you just send me if you have an idea for a story, but you just have to see samples of your art. If you're a team, you're a writer who wants to work with an artist, you have to show me samples of what you do, so I know that you're good and I know that you can tell a story. And then if you do that and you send it to me, I tell you exactly how we operate. How it all works. You get a split of the subscription income, blah, 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 all the details of it, format, specs, everything. And then if you're happy with that, they go off and do it. And it's that simple.
So it's great for young upcoming creators who can, you know, dream of Marvel, etc. But it's webcomics today are really huge, and even now we have Marvel Unlimited. The biggest two, they all publish online because they know that this is the future. The future is not right.
Yeah, but the sad thing is, and this is the big problem. I mean, I have a tough job. We've been going just under 5 years. It'll be our birthday, 30th of September this month. So we'll have been going for 5 years after that. But it's still a tough sell because comic readers are very special. They love collecting. Yeah,
that's true.
And they want that thing. And so it's very tough. Very tough. Very tough to make the progress I want to make.
That's true.
You know,
comic book collectors, collect your laptop where you have all the issues, not the papers. We had the sign that we have to go. I have just one huge huge favor to ask. If you could just invite our readers. So witamy na brodach z kosmosu. If you could say that. So it's welcome.
Say that again.
Witamy na brodach z kosmosu.
Witamy na brodach kosmosu.
Great, thank you very much.
I bet that was really bad, but thank you.
This
Beards from outer space, I know. Beards from outer space.